green door with its frosted window. She could see shadowy figures, one of which looked like it was pacing. The other somehow looked bored, even through the distorted glass, but that had to be her imagination. She glanced around, dipped her hand underneath her coat, and wiped her sweaty palm on the skirt of her dress, thankful that she'd worn a darker color. After a steadying breath, she allowed her fingertips to hover over the doorknob. She tried to clear her mind, to get in the zone. But this wasn't a regular client. This was Jason, the man she'd thought was the love of her life until he'd ghosted her when she'd needed him most. He was the one that got away. No, she shook her head slightly. He's the bullet I dodged. Any man who could do what he'd done wasn't worth the dirt under her stilettos. He's just like every other client. The words whispered across her mind like a prayer, and she hoped it would be answered. Jules took another breath and tilted the handle down, shoving into the room. Just as swiftly as she walked in, it hit her. He wasn't like every other client. Only one half-second look into those painfully familiar stormy eyes told her it was different this time. She moved her gaze to the handcuffs around his wrists before looking away entirely and glared at the officer who'd locked her client up. "Jason, let's go. This interrogation is over." Chapter 2. Fuck me. That was the first thing Jason thought when Juliet Belrose barreled through the door like a goddamn Valkyrie, choosing who in the room she'd take to Valhalla and who she would spare. The others in the room seemed surprised, but he'd heard her heels clicking down the hallway long before the door opened. It'd been 7 years, but he'd been dreaming of that walk since the first day he saw her. Her sexy, confident swagger always made him want to scoop her up and hold her, never letting go until her pleasure was his own. Before his mind could follow that thought down into the gutter, he relaxed in his seat and took her in. Jules's honey-brown hair loosely curled down the lapels of her long white coat that covered her dark, knee-length garnet dress. Her matching heels were sky-high on already long legs. A memory flashed of faint pressure on his hips as she wrapped around him. Damn. He'd tried to relax, but his mind was not cooperating. Instead, he felt himself already getting hard within seconds of her entering the room. He absent-mindedly wondered if she also felt the room get warmer as Jason's gaze traveled along her figure, all the way up until he caught a glimpse of her dispassionate glance at him. Despite the initial hope that bubbled up when he realized she was coming to his rescue, his heart tanked into his stomach. That beautiful face told him everything he needed to know. She'd already decided his fate. One way or another, he was doomed. "What's the meaning of this?" The pudgy, unkempt investigator hadn't been able to keep still since he'd entered the interrogation room. His graying blonde, receding hairline was quickly developing beads of sweat that dripped down his red face and furrowed brow. Not even the occasional dabbing of his yellowed handkerchief at his forehead was enough to stave off the perspiration. "Burgess, he told you he wanted a lawyer. Ms. Belrose is obviously it." The investigator gaped at the assistant district attorney as the calmer, younger man eased out of his nonchalant pose in the corner of the room. His comment took Jules's focus off the investigator and a